I think obviously the capacity was there, so we could grow without building new infrastructure. I think that's probably why it was able to pick up quickly. And then since we have been able to be successfully addressing the security issue, we have seen a lot of growth in new hotels, new investments in hotels, like the Accor Group, which is the biggest group here. They have 50 hotels, and they're planning to build another 50 hotels in the next 3 years. Marriott and so on. And the growth is coming from the 5-star as well as the 3 and 4-star. Well, we like to think it's a very important industry. It contributes 4% to our GDP directly. And if you say indirectly, taking into account the multiplier effect, the estimated contribution is 9% to GDP. It contributes about 7%, 7 to 8% of the labor force. And that's really 1 out of 12 jobs in Indonesia is being created from travel and tourism. And it's the number 5 foreign exchange earner. So number 1 is oil and gas, number 2 is coal, number 3 is palm oil, number 4 is rubber products, number 5 is tourism. So it contributes $8.5 billion of foreign exchange as of last year. Yeah. We have a national tourism strategy, and we're going to try to develop new destinations beyond Bali. You know, Bali is well known internationally, but there are many other beautiful places in Indonesia. So we have a target till 2025 to develop like 80 new destinations. In the next 5 years, we want to develop 16 new destinations, including Lombok, which is the island next to Bali. It has beautiful beaches. Yogyakarta, where the famous Borobudur Temple. We have volcanoes. We have diving spots, and we have urban city like Jakarta, which can offer also a good place for tourism. And what we want to be doing is actually also developing what's called special interest tourism. And a number of the ones that we think Indonesia can be competitive in is like golf tourism. We have 152 golf courses in Indonesia. Just around Jakarta alone, we have 38. In Bali also we have golf courses as well as Batam. And diving, surfing, we have 600 diving spots in Indonesia. Many of them still in marine conservation area. Surfing, we are known to have one of the most famous spots for surfing. There's one most recently discovered by the surfing world. You can surf on the river. It's the meeting of confluence of 2 rivers, and then on full moon, one becomes higher than the other, and then you get waves, and you can surf for 1 hour. So, you know, we have all these kind of very exotic, very interesting places. Our challenge is really to develop the infrastructure and the connectivity to get to these places. The growth of the budget airlines has actually helped a lot to increase domestic connectivity. If you're talking about going by airline, and the cost has gone down. So we need to do a better job of selling the packages and having you can come in through Jakarta or you can come in through any of the major cities. And then how do you get to that exotic destination? You know, we are prioritizing in the 16 destinations, whether it's the need to build an airport or if there's an existing airport but the runway is not long enough or not thick enough, then we are working with the Ministry of Transportation to make sure that those can be addressed. And besides going by plane, you can go by boat because we are an island nation. So cruise ship is another area which we are developing. Like the Orangutan Reserve you mentioned, there are already cruise ships going there from Australia, from many countries, because it's actually very accessible going there. So we're also looking at how to ensure that the ports can accommodate increased port calls from the cruise ships. On infrastructure, it's mainly government. If you're talking about airports or ports, it's mainly government. Central government combined with provincial government. They're increasing their investments because we have prioritized infrastructure as a priority because we think to be able to unleash new growth, you have to address the infrastructure bottlenecks. In a lot of places, whatever they do for the ports and the airports is going to help trade as well and investment, right? So it's a combination, but at least as a tourism minister or ministry, in our planning, we prioritize these 16 for the next 5 years. So we coordinate with the transportation ministry to say, okay, can you please, in your budget allocation, address this airport, that port. And like for the cruise ship, we have a 5-year plan to develop 10 ports, which can accommodate from the small to the larger cruise ships. The first one that will be developed will be Bali. That will be able to accommodate the really, really large cruise ship. And then Tanjung Puting, which is where the Orangutan Reserve is, will also be developing that. And Semarang, which is in Central Java, so that you can access to Borobudur more easily. Well, it's hard to say how much we're spending because the spending is being done by mainly by the Transportation Ministry for the harbors and the ports, and for the roads, it's the Public Works Ministry. But I would say it's at least their whole infrastructure budget is about 200 trillion rupiah, which is like 20 billion rupiah a year. We need to address that to be able to continue growth in a sustainable way, and to spread growth. Because a lot of the development in infrastructure is outside of Java, in the more less developed areas of Indonesia. Indonesia is a very large country, very diverse country. We have a lot of rich biodiversity. So when you talk about sustainable tourism, it's a balance that you have to strike between kind of the mass tourism and the more specialized tourism. So in some places you don't want mass tourism. You don't want, for Komodo for instance, the island where you have the Komodo dragons. We limit the number of people that go there because you want to protect the habitat. And then a lot of the diving spots also, you don't want too many people to go. So we have to guard the environment and the biodiversity in that way. And then there will be areas where you can accommodate mass tourism, but with mass tourism comes all the downside of large numbers of people. How do you manage it in terms of the waste management, in terms of the hotels that need to be built, but not built in a way that's going to be destroying the environment, etc., etc. So planning it becomes a big issue. Well, I think it's difficult to give a general answer because, like European tourists and Australian tourists, for instance, they look for nature and they look for culture. So for those types of tourists, the beautiful nature of Indonesia, as well as the rich cultural heritage, like in a couple of those 16 destinations, you have very strong nature, ecotourism, and culture components. And for the Asian tourists, they actually like shopping and eating, and they're more interested in that kind of thing. So they're probably more attracted to the more urban areas. And we also want to be developing shopping and culinary tourism, as well as spa and wellness type of tourism. So I think we are developing a few areas and destinations, and then within each destination you have strengths, whether it's the nature or whether it's the culture, or sometimes both. And we will be packaging and developing these 16 destinations in that way. And I think what will happen is that different groups of tourists will be attracted to different destinations, actually depending from the source country they come from, and income level and age group and so on. So this year, if you just take tourism numbers as an indicator, that's not the only indicator. You need to also look at length of stay, spending, and so on. But if you take numbers as a target, this year we are hoping to get 8 million. In 2 years, we hope to get 10 million. So I would say in 5 years, hopefully we can get double of 8, which is like 15 million. I would say around 15 to 20 billion dollars foreign exchange receipts. And the other thing that we also focus on is, of course, domestic tourism, because Indonesia is a large market. For the current situation, actually, we get, in terms of spending and numbers, domestic tourism is much larger than foreign tourism. So we have to do both. Yeah. We in Indonesia, we're trying to promote the creative economy, which is really how to get value added from our rich cultural heritage, as well as the more media-based and IT-based type of new industries, which are also growing in Indonesia. And we are going to be promoting the film and the music industry in Indonesia, and the whole entertainment industry that is related to that. And we are hoping that our film industry can grow because of both film and music, because of the large domestic market. And hopefully we can also be seen as a location for film production, just like other countries have done, because it will benefit the creative industry as well as tourism. We see that film production, whether it's a Hollywood film that is being filmed in your country, like Eat, Pray, Love, which actually was filmed in Bali in a very specific place called Ubud, which is the artist village. You actually have Eat, Pray, Love tours in Ubud. So something like that impact, we would like to see the impact on tourism, or whether it's an Indonesian film that becomes a big hit eventually overseas.